Hey guys, welcome to another video. So this time you should have a shader that will serve as our swamp water right here. So I have a shader folder here and I just put the simple deformation shader here. And also on the materials folder, I have a water somewhere in here. So don't mind this other extra materials right here for the particles. These are the ones that I've experimented on while making the textures for the particles. And we're gonna do exactly just that in this video. Although we are gonna do the textures first. So in here, I have a water, as you can see. And of course, I have this on the N3K simple deformation, or however you name yours, maybe flag or something, however you copy him. But this is the old version from last year when I first created these assets. So it should perfectly work the same thing. And also I have this kind of value color right here. It should be on Unity by default. If you just put debug motion right here, it should be there. I kind of just put that there for extra depth, but it's not really going to make a distinctive definition. But I like being extra. Anyway, if I hit play, as you can see, I've just set the wave height into something of the sort where it doesn't go above the rocks. And I've also kind of redesigned some rocks and kind of clumped them together and kind of put them above a little bit just to make sure the water is not going to go above it. And also the wave speed. He already explained it to you, but that's how fast these waves are going, and I like mine slow. So that's really all the things that I've done offline, and it's really not much, but other things that I've done offline I think are the colors. Lap elf right here, I just make sure that emission is on, so the color is kind of like glowing per se. So this color right here controls kind of like your tint and also the brightness and dullness of your color, as you can see. And I kind of just put that there, and this right here, if you click it, will control the color of your actual emission. And I've put mine on this value if you just want to copy that or put your own drag however you want. And also I've changed this, I think. Yeah, it's for the rocks. I kind of put the same color, or maybe just like a little tad bit differently, but it's kind of working the same. It's the same color value. So yeah, let's start making those VFX textures so that we can start creating VFX. Alright, so these are the keywords that we are looking for. We are looking for magic circles, portal circle, and portal VFX. So you can see this is the last one that we've used on the beginner course. But if you just hit view more, you can find tons of other images that you can use. Now pick something that is already front view, so it's gonna make it easier for you. And also, doesn't matter if it has color or it kind of looks like this, it has different colors and it has that dark background, because I'm gonna show you exactly how to edit that away and make use of the images that's already out there, and turn it white, control the color into Unity and things like that. So as you can see here on our, which term is this? Portal VFX. So I've had this picture, also have this picture, what else? I've had these two pictures and I saved them into my reference folder. I want you to save 8 to 15 pictures of your choosing and of your liking. Few of the other pictures that I have taken, honestly I have a lot, because I like taking these pictures and editing them so I can use them for my own liking. Alright, so one of the other things that I have, I think I have the universe, something that looks like this. So, Milky, wait. I've had a front view picture of this, maybe something that looks like this, and I'm gonna use that as my VFX. I'm gonna take that picture, turn it into white, remove all the background, and use it. That's what I'm going to do. So yeah, save 8 pictures of this, anything you want, and also make sure to save at least 4 of this, because we're going to use this as like an animation texture sheet, and usually you can fit there by 2, like even numbers, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, something like that. So I only have 4, and I think it's the resolution of 1024 by 1024, yeah. So after you've done saving your reference, I will see you on Photoshop. Yeah, just click bunch of image and go to view more, and you're gonna find tons of really, really good VFX. As you can see, tons of things that kind of look like this. Okay, so let's go to Photoshop. Alright, so let's open those images that we are going to experiment on now that you have all those reference. Also make sure to name them as like a continuation from your reference. So if you go to Fantasy Low Poly here on your reference, make sure to kind of name them as a continuation from 18 to 19, 20 to like 29. So as you can see, these are the images that I have that I've saved from those particular keywords. I remember this came from like an eyeball, your iris. I just kind of looked that up and saved a GIF file right here, and I'm going to use that. Also have a plasma right here. I just search the term like plasma, circle plasma, or something like that, and these things appear. And the rest came from Portal VFX, Portal Circle, things like that. Even a YouTube video right here, where I just kind of look up Circle VFX, and all of them kind of appear. And lastly, I think this one came from a vape smoke, like vaping, you know. So these are the images that I have. And now I'm just going to open a bunch of them and experiment on them, show you how to clear the background and things like that. So I want this to, this one's already fixed. Maybe this one, this one, maybe this one, and also this one. Yeah, I should show you how to do the rest by just these examples right here. Okay, so let's start here. So what if you have an image like this and you want to remove the background? And also you just want to keep these areas right here, right? So Control A and Control C, and I'm going to close this. Go to this image right here. This should be your 512 by 512 and it should be 300 resolution. Also should be pixel, okay? Because all of this singular texture file for your VFX is going to be 512 by 512. So if you want to downsample later and turn this into 128, it's okay because you're not going to lose a lot of things. Whereas if you start 128, you can't just turn the quality up because technically you're still on the same quality. So 512, okay, Control V, paste that, Control T, Alt Shift, and just drag inside. I'm kind of losing my voice today, you guys, I'm sorry. I've been recording too much. So pardon the sudden loss of voice. Alright, so now that you have this on a certain size that you want, hit enter. Make sure it's in the center. So technically on this textures that we are making, we're not going to keep the inside much. Feel free to do so if that's what you want, but for me, I'm not going to keep the insides because I just want the sides to kind of like rotate and have this little extras things right here. So the way to clean this up firstly is go to your circle thing right here. This is technically a square, but right click, go to elliptical, go to the very center of your image, left mouse click, Alt Shift, so now you have it in the center. And I'm gonna make it into something of the sort. Now maybe you don't understand this right now, but I'm gonna show you. So right click outside of it and hit feather. Maybe 3025 will work, hit OK, and press delete on your keyboard. And it's going to delete that smoothly from the inside, as you can see right here. Maybe one more time. Now you have something that looks like this. Now I'm going to turn my background into black, so you can see this clearly, and delete this from my last time. So now it kind of looked like this. So as you can see, it's not much in the center. Don't worry, you can just go back again on this. You can always redo this, so don't worry too much. So go to the center again and Alt Shift. Maybe from here we can feather it again and delete. That's more like it. Now it's kind of more even, and that's what we want, right? So go to the center again because this time we're gonna inverse and delete the outside parts. So here, Alt Shift, not in the center. Go here, Alt Shift. Now it's in the center, and from here I'm just gonna go a little bit more outside of it. Go to select, inverse, where's that? Right here, and right click, feather, and maybe 25 or 15. 15 is good. I'm gonna delete that outside area, but also keep the smoothness of it, and this is exactly what we want. We also want this to be white. The brighter it is, the more easier for us to control the color into Unity. So I'm going to turn my background into black right now. And go back to the layer, image, adjustment, and there should be a black and white here. Hit OK. So now you have something of the sort. Now I'm going to keep this thing kind of as it is and tweak a little bit more, because the darker areas right here will serve as a really good gradient on my texture later on. Because the white parts are the most visible parts when you put this as a texture VFX, because those are the ones that can change color. So if you want to brighten certain areas, go to your dodge tool, go here in your range, midtones or highlight, whichever one. Maybe, I don't know, brighten certain areas that you want. Also, you can right click here, change to whatever brushes that you want. Maybe if you want to brush like this because you want to brighten this not too blocky by using that kind of a brush that is circlish like that. So you have this tool and you can use that to brighten certain areas. You can even go to Image, Adjustment, and Brightness and Contrast, and maybe brightness. So this will be a good value for me around this. Contrast if you want to make it softer, maybe dull and soft. Sharper tends more good looking for me when I try it VFX wise, but don't overdo it. Maybe just a little bit is okay, so something like this. And now you have your first texture that you can export and use. Just to make sure to, of course, close this background because you don't want that. And go to your file, export as PNG of course because it holds better transparency. Go to your texture right here, and if it's your first one, export it as your V1 and then save. Okay, so these are the textures that I've already done, and basically these are the only things that you're doing. Using a lot of elliptical tool and feathering and also selection and color range and a bunch of that stuff. So save it here in texture and let's move on to the next picture. Alright, so now that that's gone, delete that. I'm gonna go to this one. Maybe not that one, too easy. Let's go to this one. I'm gonna Control C, go here, Control V, Control T, Alt Shift. This is good. Alright. Enter. So now you have something that looks like this. What if you want to delete all the black parts here that has the same color as your background? Go to your selection, go to your color range, and just sample the color that you want to delete. So click that, hit OK. Now you have this. So you can just delete that just like that. Just delete on your keyboard. Control D to deselect. And also make sure to go to your erase and maybe right click, go here and erase these areas that you want to keep, that you don't want to keep. And this one, this is so random, I'm just gonna delete that. So now you have something that looks like this. You can also change the color here to make sure that everything is clean. As you can see, it's not too much clean. You have dirty areas right here, so delete that. Make sure to delete that. So go to your erase, delete these areas here. Not there. And also, if you're not sure, you can always go to your lasso thing right here. Make sure that you are on lasso and draw the areas that maybe you want to keep. Something like this. So now that that is selected, I usually Control C and Control V and delete the bottom part. Now, if you want to keep the color, you can. But I like mine white, so I can control it. Hit OK. Also change this into maybe white this time, so G. So go to my elliptical and of course clean this inside because this is too ruggedy and we don't want that. So go to the middle part, Alt Shift. Alright, maybe this close. Feather 25, delete. Now you have something that looks like this. This is what I want. Again, middle, Alt, Shift. And this time I'm just gonna go here and a little bit on the outside. And you can select Inverse right here and go to your erase right here. And you can manually do this if you want. Just make sure that you are on this brush, transparency, not solidify like this. So you can delete that. If you want it solid like that, if that's what you want, you can also right click here. If you go to your selection, feather and maybe 5, it's good, delete, to kind of, you know, soften that. Now you have something that kind of look like this, if this is what you want. But also don't forget that you can make this a little bit bigger and delete. And now you have a gradient, as you can see. I'm gonna delete more. Now you have a gradient. Now the circle thing is what you have, and it's a gradient and it looks good. But here on the inside is a little bit kind of too much, so I'm gonna go kind of soften that a bit. I'm really seriously losing my voice. 10? I'm just gonna delete. Alright, so that's fine. And I'm also gonna go to image adjustment brightness and line this up like this. That looks good. Go to my background so I can see this a little bit better. So I'm gonna turn that into black. Also, if you want customly brighten some areas, sometimes it looks good if the other things are brighter. You can also control your exposure here if you want it to be affected really crazy, you know? Usually kept this as 50 though, and I also only mess with midtones most of the times. Alright, so you can even go to brightness, contrast. There's vibrance here, but since it's black and white, it's not really going to adjust anything, so maybe levels will. As you can see here, if you want to blur kind of circle, there's that. And if you want to kind of thin this out, there's that. Maybe if you thin that out, go to image, adjustment, brightness, contrast. And if you brighten this, you're going to have it again. And contrast, it's going to make your image crisp and also a little bit sharp. It looks good, really, with contrast. So I always kind of mess with this. And just like that, you have your circle. Just make sure to make this big, Alt-Shift, and just make it bigger, like this, so you're not wasting too much space right here. And just like that, you have your second texture. And you can edit this just like that. Like, really, really easy. So save this as a V2, again as a PNG, under your texture folder, and then let's move on to the next picture. Alright, so which other victims should we have? This one looks interesting. Alright, so I'm gonna copy this, put this here, paste, again, Control-T, Alt-Shift, drag here, move Alt-Shift here, and then Alt-Shift again. This is good enough for me. Alright, so we have something that looks like this. What's the first thing that you're going to do? Maybe turn this into black and white so you can see the colors better. So that looks good, right? You can make this into a little bit like a pulsating electricity later on when you're doing your VFX. Just make sure to delete the inside because, well, I don't like the inside very much. So Alt-Shift, something like this. Make sure that you are in the center. And actually, if you're not quite sure that that is the center, you can always kind of make sure that your image right here is in the center first. The spink lines are going to appear when your image is at its center. You can also have a view here, a new guide right here, new guide layout, and you can put rulers. Alright, so maybe you can put number here, maybe 2, and make sure that the gutter is 0 right here. Hit rows, and just like that, now you know which is the circle of this image, and hit OK. So from here, go to your elliptical, go at the center, Alt-Shift, and just like that, you are deleting and softening the middle circle area part of your image. So right-click, feather, then maybe delete this. Now it looks good like that, right? So now we just want to delete all the black, dark areas right here. So again, maybe change this into color so you can see it. Go here, go to your selection, color range, sample the black areas, and then delete. I just kind of delete twice, but keep in mind, after you kind of select all of them, you can even tighten the selection by going to Modify and hit Expand. And maybe I want to tighten it by 1 pixel? Just like that, and hit Delete. So now you have something that looks like this. If you press Delete again, you can have it sharply, like this. And just keep pressing Delete until you're satisfied with your image. So now you have something that kind of looks like this. Now, we can even play with this further on to make everything kind of bright and good looking. Feather 10, delete. You know, making sure that everything's good looking. So now I have something that kind of looks like this. Now, if you want everything to be white, make sure to lock the image, go to your brush, and just make this a little bit kind of bigger. And you can color from there. And now you have something that kind of looks like this. And you can save it as it is. Or you can even control your opacity if you're using a mouse, so that only certain areas will be brighter. And the rest are kind of like, you know, a little bit gradient-ish, but it depends on you and what you want to do. You also have a blur here, right here. You can blur certain areas that you want to be blurred out. You have like literally tons of options to edit this and make a texture out of it. So yeah, this is how I edit my plasma and my eye texture. And you can save this as your next texture, alright? So I would consider this done. And if you want to further clean this up, it's totally fine. But as for me, I like those little imperfections because that's what makes things a little bit organic and nature-ish. So I'm gonna delete this. Go to my next victim. This one, you know exactly how to edit this. You can just delete the insides, elliptical, feather, go to selection, invert, and delete all those other areas. You can go to color range, select all the black parts, and just delete it. So you know how to edit this. I'm gonna close this. This one is practically the same. You can edit this the same thing. And this one, alright, this one's a little bit different because we're gonna play with some other things. So Control V, Control T, Alt Shift, take it here. Now let's take it up. Something like this. Alright, so now you have something. There we go. But maybe what you can do first though is turn this into black and white. So just like that, hit OK. Again, go down into this sections and a little bit of menus. See which one works. So again, color dodge. This is hard light. This is vivid light. Alright, so I think I like vivid light. Let's see. If I can go to image adjustment and brightness, I can control luminance and also control the contrast. So now we have, just like that, we have a clean kind of ring, right? And this could look good for a number of reasons, actually. So from here, what I can do is double click the background here in the image, hit OK, and shift left mouse click Control E to kind of merge them. And from here, create another layer as your background, G, to transfer into your fill, hit G, fill that in. Also, I'm going to hide this so I can delete this and see what's going on. So from here, simply going to go to selection, color range, click that. And from here, I'm just going to go maybe on my selection, right click, feather, maybe 3, hit OK, and press delete. So now we've isolated a ton of color, and this is what I like. So again, maybe change the color into something, like maybe this color. So now you have this texture right here, and it's gonna go to maybe brighter areas, something like this. Play with your dodge tool, edit this however you want. Keep in mind those black things aren't always going to show in Unity, because usually on alphas, white are the ones that are visible and the black ones are not going to be visible. It's just when you have all black background, when this thing rotates as a VFX in Unity, this part's areas right here will show. But if it's on a picture like this and just little bits like that, it serves as kind of like a gradient, you know? So it's not much of a problem, at least for me. Alright, so right now you can play with actually levels, maybe, let's see. As you can see, levels make it so pretty. It kind of looks like a smoky cloud now, so it's always good to play with this. But I like keeping my crisp edges right here because it makes it just really look good in my eyes. And also, if you want to move certain areas here, you have, I think, filter here. It's called liquify right here. And make sure that you are on this option, and you can wrap this however you want, move it. Like tiny areas that you want to move, you know, you can move this and just press OK if you're done with it. Just know that that menu is there and it works. And it works really good on people that Photoshop their body, maybe the waistline. Maybe if you want to push it a little bit there or here, so you can have that, I don't know, Coca-Cola body. Liquify always work. But for people that want kind of like a massive moving warp looking thing, kind of like ZBrush, you can press Ctrl T, right click here and hit warp. Now you can move this, skew it however you want, you know, and press enter to get out of that and press undo. As for me, it's Ctrl C. for you, maybe Control-Shift-C, something of the sort. So again, disable your background and export this as your V5, V4, whichever number you are on, okay? So I'm gonna delete this, and let's go to this one. Alright, so what if you have colors that are like this? They're inverted. I'm gonna close this, press V. So something like this is perfectly going to work. So what if you have something like this? The one that you want are on black, the one that, and the background is white, which are the ones that you don't want to keep. You can always go to Image, Adjustment, and invert this, just like that. And go to your, where's that? Selection, color range, select that, hit delete twice. And from here, if you don't want to keep this practically circle-ish all the time, like a circle, you can always pick your magic wand here. Select this if you want to keep that same body shape. Go to your selection here, right click, feather, put any number that you want. This is just an experimentation, but just to show you that you have a lot of options. So delete. And now you have something that looks like this, right? So also, you can keep using your magic wand, so like that. And if you hold Shift, you can select further more things. So you can see here, right? So go back here, right click, feather, 15 is okay, and just delete. Now you have something that looks like this. Now, it's not much, but it's good, it's getting there. Okay, so maybe this time use color range. And just delete all of that color that has the same value. Let's see, Control D, now you have something that looks like this. Kind of like a cloudy thing. This could be a really good effect. So I'm gonna go to Image, Adjustment, Brightness, Contrast. Take this up like this to see what I need to clean. And basically, yeah, soften areas. So go here again, and go to Feather, and maybe put here, I don't know, 8. And just, you know, delete the areas. And now you have something soft and cloudish and kind of like, I don't know, just for like texture, gradients, things. Go to your Image, Adjustment, and Brightness, maybe Levels. Let's see. Something like this. And you could have a texture that kind of look like this. Play with your dodge tool, your blur tool. And there's even like filters here, actually. Let's see. Filter gallery, I think. And you can have a bunch of different effects on this, if you so want it, if that's what you want. So I'm gonna hit fresco. Keep in mind you have other things right here that you can experiment on, by the way. And now you have something that kind of looks like this. It looks kind of weird, but let's see. Let's further edit this. I'm gonna press maybe a bubbly kind of button. Well, I'll just stick to that one, that's fine. And I'm going to put my opacity down. And just delete these areas here. Now we have a puffy cloud. I mean, if you can't make textures, just take an image and edit it and make it your own. So just like that, we have a cloud texture, and you can export this now and do something with it, you know? Just make sure that it's kind of clean, that there's nothing here on the sides. Alright? So, the next thing that we're going to do is this one. Our texture image, right here. So, if you've already downloaded a symbol, your magic circle, things like that, I want you to create a 1024 by 1024, so each one is 512, so we don't lose much quality. You can make 2 by 2, like maybe just 2 here, or 2 here. It's totally fine. But for me, I'm just gonna keep it 4, so have variety. I like variety. So, make sure to have this, and make sure that your, where's that? Your guide layout is set up. Now, since you have this, you can always just go to Image, Image Size, and just change the size of this into 1024 by 1024 and hit OK. And that should resize your image. Now, all you have to do now is have 512 by 512. Okay, so I have 512 here and 1024. So if I go to Google, because I didn't save much of these things, I just kind of already go out there and edit it. So I've picked one image, like any, maybe this one. Right click, hit copy, go to Photoshop, and Control V. And I just made sure that this fits this 512 picture right here, so it fits the 1024 slot. I don't particularly make it too close, so it's not a problem. And from here, I just kind of edit it here. So select, color range, And from here, just delete twice. Maybe I can even go to select, modify, expand, maybe just 1 pixel, and delete. So now we have something thin. It kind of looks like this. And I play with, I don't know, levels a little bit. Something like that. Even go to brightness, contrast, make it lighter, less crispy. Hit OK. Maybe go to your dodge tool, brighten certain areas that you want. Now don't worry too much if this is too messy, because you can always go here on the blur and blur areas that you want to be soft. And also don't forget that you have this option right here. If you double click on your layer, make sure that you are on the picture though, this one. Double click. A layer style will pop out. Now you can have bevel. I don't know if you can see that changes, but if you go here, as you can see, you can have a little bit of metallic kind of feel to it, like it's 3D. So you have bevel and you have a bunch of options here. All you have to do is enable it. Stroke. As you can see here, change the color into white if you so want. You can even have, let's see, hit OK. You can even have an outer glow. Now this would look really good if this is what you intended, you know. You can edit the size, spread. That this is how people make their texture, their VFX kind of glow. And it always works like that. It's always the outer glow and you have an inner glow somewhere here. This one, just play with these things. Like, there's a lot of things here to modify your texture. It's gonna look good. And if you're satisfied with this is just for an example because I've already done mine. But if you're satisfied, Control A, Control C after you've edited on the 512 window, and put it on your 1024 by 1024 texture. I'm gonna disable this real quick. Control V. So now you have this, right? So just make sure to fit it here. And make sure that it's not going outside of this line. Make sure that it's not going out there. Because if it does, it's going to be maybe part of this or part of this. And it's going to look very ugly on Unity, so don't do that. So just make sure that they are inside on the same line. And if you hold Alt, left mouse click, drag it here, just make sure that they are on the same level. As you can see, if they are on the same level, this pink thing is going to appear wherever you drag your thing or wherever you make a new one. Alright, so now that you know how to make your own VFX texture, not that you don't know how to do because we've already done that so many times before, just make sure to export this because we're going to use this, alright? And disable the background. Alright, so in the next video, we're going to start setting up our VFX, and I will see you then.